Okay, today we're going to talk about the Overwatch PTR patch notes for June 28th, 2018, the patch that contained the new hero, Wrecking Ball. Which is not what a single human being is actually going to call this hero. We're going to call him by his actual name, Hammond. And turned out to not be Super Monkey Ball. Turned out to just be a hamster ball. Which is extremely disappointing, honestly. We will talk about Wrecking Ball a little later, because I have a thing to show you with all the stats, but the patch had other changes in it as well. So we'll do those first, because there weren't many. So, basically, a bunch of heroes all got their fall-off damage lowered, which just means they do slightly more damage at long range. This, I don't think, is going to make any practical difference on the game, because I mean, someone like Soldier, fall-off damage isn't massively impactful for him. It's more impactful for someone like McCree, who is reasonably short-ranged, but like, he still has a very clearly defined window in which he is meant to be firing from, so all that'll probably actually happen is every now and then, that kill that you almost get, but they end up slipping away with 1 health because they were in fall-off range, they will die instead, because you did, like, 1 extra damage. But I don't think it's going to make any practical difference in the game. It'll make Soldier a little better at contesting snipers, because, like, let's be real, McCree and Bastion ain't about to suddenly start contesting snipers. Soldier can give it a go, at very least. He'll be a little bit better at that, but, like, not really. I don't think it's going to make any difference. It's cool, you know? It's, like, objectively a buff, but, like, it's like a nothing buff. Hanzo's getting nerfed again. Who could have seen that one coming when the last nerf was clearly not enough? Reduce the duration on storm arrows and increase the cooldown by 2 seconds. It's still not going to be enough. Yeah, it's objectively a nerf still, but, like, it's not a big one. It's relatively inconsequential. Hanzo's still going to be the best hero in the game. We're going to need more. I still don't know what you do, really, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's not going to stop Hanzo from being, like, the best hero in the game. What, like, probably has to happen is Hanzo needs, like, a more drastic nerf, which they're probably hoping to avoid having to do, or some of Hanzo's counters are going to have to actually be able to counter Hanzo again, because, like, Winston can't, really. Diva can't, really. Like, they can try, certainly, but they'll probably just die to Hanzo, especially if they also pick Bridget, because that's the constant threat, is that, like, alright, so you've got Hanzo and Widow over there. If we change to dive heroes, you can just pick Bridget and fuck us, and Hanzo isn't even that weak to being dove on, so it's kind of, like, the problem is bigger than Hanzo himself, but, like, Hanzo is like, can we just delete Hanzo from the game? Can we just do that? Can we just have, like, Genji killed him in lore, right? And then when you load into the game, Hanzo's picture has just a big red X over it. That'd fix the problem right there. That's a nice, elegant solution to the problem, I think. So, other change. So this is a big one. This is the point where I'm officially like, oh fuck, we're fucked at this rate. So Sombra, stealth now lasts indefinitely. Rather than only a few seconds, it now just lasts forever. So that's cool. No longer can contest objectives while invisible. Fair enough. Enemy detection radius increased from 2 meters to 4 meters. You still have to basically be touching her, though, to actually see her. And movement speed reduced from 75% to 50%. That's actually mind-boggling to me that they did this, right? That's actually insane. And the other change, Translocator now lasts indefinitely, but it can be destroyed. And it only has 5 health. That's fine, whatever, sure. It might as well be like that, honestly. So, the stealth change, though, nobody seems to understand quite how scary this actually is, right? So here, when they were first revealing Sombra, or teasing Sombra, we kind of knew she was going to be a stealth hero, right? And I was terrified of them adding a stealth hero to the game. Because every single multiplayer game that has stealth heroes in it cannot balance stealth heroes properly. They are always hilariously overpowered or hilariously underpowered. There's no in-between with them. And the way we're going with Sombra at this rate, it's not going to be long before she ends up in the hilariously overpowered category, because she kind of just keeps getting buffed. And now she's just invisible forever. And the reason they gave is so that Sombra can more easily be played as an infiltrator and a scout for her team. What this actually just means is she can sit right next to Mercy forever until Mercy's team leaves. And then she can kill her. Because the translocator also lasts forever. So she can just go put that a ways away from the fight, and it'll never get broken, and it's always there. So she can just sit and wait next to these people for as long as it takes for her to get a pick. And it doesn't matter how far away she has to go, because now her movement speed buff is permanent, right? Like, that's mind-boggling as well. That it's still 50% on an indefinite level. It's insane. So, Sue, nobody seems to appreciate this, right? Nobody's saying anything about this. This is scary. I already thought Sombra is fine. She's just hard to play. The thing is, though, that apparently we just want her to be easy to play instead at this point. Like, she's just gradually becoming easier and easier. Because the only, limiting factor to the positions that Sombra could get into was the duration on Translocator and on Stealth, right? It took some amount of effort to get to the position you wanted to get to, because you had a limited duration on Translocator, a long-ass time, but it was limited, and Stealth didn't last that long. So you had to actually think about how you were getting into position. Now it's brainless. Now you can just walk in, and it doesn't matter. You can just take as long as you saunter all the fuck way around the edge. It's fine. No one's gonna know you're coming, right? And then you can just leave whenever you want and just come back again. And this, it's massively lowered the skill level it requires to play Sombra, because now getting into position is not a skill testing element, because now you just get there. It's no issue. You're there. You want to be there? You can get there. No problem. You don't really have to think about it. It's upsetting. I don't like it. I'm complaining. I'm angry. Okay? I'm angry. It's just one of those things where it's it's just making a hero, massively easier to play. And, I just think Sombra should be fine, but a hard hero to play. But no. She has to be easy to play as well. People are going to be upset eventually. This is going to stick eventually. And then everybody's going to realize, oh, fuck. This scary person is just hovering around us, invisible. And there's not much we can do about that, because we don't really have many ways to detect stealth in this game, other than Infrasight and Sonic Arrow. It's gonna end up being an issue. Come back to me in 6 months' time and tell me what you think about Sombra. I'm suspecting that by that point, she's gonna have been tipped over the edge. Seeing how she gets buffed every couple months at this point. Whatever. So that's all the patch notes down here. Quick play stuff happened. Bug fixes. Who cares? We're going to go talk about Hammond now. Gotta move that around a little bit. So, we're going to talk about Hammond Wrecking Ball. So, he has 600 health, 500 health, 100 armor. He's not that tanky health-wise, because he also has the Diva problem of his head hitbox being fucking massive, because he's got the giant mech body thing going on that Diva does. So he's relatively fragile in that regard, but he has ways around this. So his left click, 80 ammo. It's like Orisa, but it's hit scan. It's a hit scan minigun, so that's cool. 5 damage per shot. 50% max fall off. Who cares about the 50% fall off damage when each shot only does 5 damage? It's not going to be a massive change in your DPS. Takes 40 bullets to kill a 200 HP hero, not including headshots. That sounds bad, but then it unloads his entire clip in approximately 3 seconds, so 25 shots per second. So takes a little under 2 seconds for him to kill you, assuming he's got pretty good accuracy. It's a hit scan weapon, so, it's a pretty scary left click. when you consider how quickly it fires and how quickly it reloads, and is also hit scam, and is not that impacted by fall-off damage, because each bullet does relatively low damage anyway, so the fall-off damage is less impactful to them. Someone like McCree at max fall-off damage is losing like 30 damage, Hammond's losing 2 or 3, right? Like, it's not the worst thing in the world for him. So I think this is too much. Right off the bat, I think the reload needs to be longer, or it needs to take slightly longer for him to unload all of his bullets, because that seems like absolutely ridiculous levels of DPS, especially for a tank. Like, yeah, he's meant to be short range, but like, this seems a little too much to me. Perhaps, you know, increase reload by like a second, maybe increase this by like a second. I don't think it would take much, but like, that just seems like a lot by itself. So as alternate fire, Hammond's got a lot of buttons he can push. Alternate fire, grappling hook, 5-second cooldown. Collision knocks enemies back a short distance, approximately 5 meters, which is about the range of shield bash. Collision deals 50 damage. Cool. Immediately activates roll once you use grapple, which we'll come back to later. Claw has an approximately 15-meter hook range. That's 5 less than Roadhog's hook, for reference. And it locks onto a wall, cannot lock onto the ground or enemies, to no one's massive surprise, I'm sure. Once locked on, lasts until cancelled. Momentum increases and decreases appropriately when swinging, so you can just kind of hang out, you know, sing some Miley Cyrus songs. Can unlock the grapple to propel yourself in your current direction like a slingshot. You know, it's a relatively intuitive ability, I would think. You're swinging off the rope, you swing around, you got momentum, fly through the air, hit people. Cool. Roll, shift, transformation ability lasts until cancelled. No cooldown is listed, so I assume it has no cooldown. Increases movement ability by approximately 50%. So I look forward to seeing Lucio and Hammond just fucking blaze past your entire team at Mach 10. It's going to be great. So his adaptive shield is actually terrifying to me because of the upper limit this ability has, right? 15-second cooldown, really long cooldown. That's the same cooldown as Biotic Field, for reference, which is, it's very long. But it has to be because the ability is pretty fucking strong. So, personal shield that does not regenerate lasts 7 seconds, so a little less than half of the cooldown. It gives you 100% shields baseline, and then for each nearby enemy, it increases by 100. So at the upper limit, this is a 700 health shield that lasts for 7 seconds. That's more than his total hit points. That he can get, that's pretty crazy. That's how he ends up being tanky, because he's still got the big beefy face hitbox thing of the mech, but like, you can get like a fucking 700 health shield on you. That's not realistic. You're not going to get to have 700 health shield very realistically all that often, but you can probably get a 300 or 400 health shield pretty consistently. And when you consider that he's got 600 health baseline, he gets pretty close to 1,000 health pretty easily, actually. Like 3 people, I would say you probably get almost every time you use this, as long as you're using it, you know, sensibly. Because, you know, with a 15-second cooldown, like, you get punished pretty hard for using this badly. So assuming you're using it well, you can probably get, like, 300 pretty consistently, which means you have 900 health, which is a lot, right? So that's how he ends up being tanky. But he's a heavy initiator tank. Like, this is his thing, is that this boy is going in, right? So he needs to be beefy once he gets there. Right, he can harass at range, but, like, he is meant to be going in, my dudes. So his crouch button is actually an ability, which is cool, because he gets to do a ground pound when he's in the air. It does have to be higher than a jump. You can't jump ground pound to do this, because that was my initial fear originally. I was like, oh god, that's terrifying, but no. 10-second cooldown, pretty long cooldown. Certainly up there on the upper end. 8-meter radius, pretty big radius. Almost half hook range. Damage scales are based on proximity to enemies, dealing up to 100 at point blank and minimum of 20 damage, and it launches affected enemies into the air. So it's not quite, he doesn't quite have hard crowd control, but he's very close. Like, a displacement does remove a lot of control that you have from your hero. Unless you're a hero with a movement ability, like someone like Genji or Tracer, they don't really care if they get knocked up, unless they take the 100 damage from it, in which case they definitely do care. But someone like Ana or Zenyatta, they are like massively more affected by this ability, because the time they spend in the air is the time they can't spend running away, right? So if you're a hero that doesn't have mobility, Pile Driver is really close to being hard crowd control, because you can't run away while you're in the air, and you might have lost half your health from the initial hit on this. So it's scary. It's scary to a significant margin of the cast. Especially, like, you know, if you're an immobile tank like Zarya, Reinhardt, Orisa, and you get Pile Drove, you can't do anything until you get back on the ground, basically. And Hammond, during that time, is going to unload basically his entire clip into you pretty easily, right? Like, he might have done 100 damage to you on this one, and then he gets to do 400 damage to you at least, not counting headshots. And tanks are easy to headshot. So Hammond looks like he'll be pretty good at killing tanks. And the tanks that are less affected by the crowd control effect, like Winston and D.Va, he can still just shoot their very big heads very easily. So he's pretty scary to other tanks, I would say. And now his ultimate. So his ultimate, like, you want a hero that counters stalling. This boy gets you off of the objective with his ultimate, basically. So he deploys 12 mines in approximately 5-meter radius around him. Each mine deals 130 damage and knocks enemies back, can get chained into multiple mines, and can be used while rolling, but cancels Grappling Claw. So imagine it, right? You got people touching the objective, and then this boy just fucking rolls by and unloads his mines over the point, and then starts beating on you, right? Suddenly, whoever was touching the point ain't gonna be touching that point much anymore, because suddenly he's taking up a lot of the objective. And if you touch one of them, that's a lot of damage. You are basically dead at that point. It's not hard for you to die from that, especially if you're not a tank. Even someone like a 400 health tank is like pretty fucked up by 130 damage. So he counters stalling, because he'll get the stallers off of it. You can even just like lay it out before they get back, right? And if you're on the defending team, you roll out literally very quickly, put it on it, push them all away again. You could say he causes more stalling as an effect of this, but to me, stalling is someone like Mei, where Mei is not likely to kill the people on the objective or deal with the people on the objective. Mei is just difficult to kill, so she runs onto the point to buy as much time for her team as possible. Hammond, however, comes out of the fucking spawn, puts a bunch of mines down on it, gains a sucking 700 health shield maybe, and then sits in the middle of his mines with his fucking quad cannons, like he is gonna kill people on the objective instead. So it's pretty scary to think about. Hammond's a pretty scary hero to think about in general. So he strikes me more as an off tank, because he's pretty close. Like, you could probably play him as a main tank, because he's like as disruptive as Winston. And Winston is considered a main tank by a lot of people. So I think he could be played as a main tank, but he seems a lot more like an off tank to me. Or you would play him with a dive hero as well, basically. Like, this guy's like really good at going in. Like, this boy gets in fast and is very disruptive and like demands your attention once you're in there. He demands your attention once he's in there because he's actually a threat, but he's difficult to deal with at the same time, because like, it's a really big shield. It's a really big shield. You want to talk about heroes that make Sombra better also? Look at this guy, right? Fucking Emp might do 700 damage to this dude. Plus it might do 5,000 damage to Symmetra, right? So there's that. This boy's got like 1 billion abilities he can activate, right? He can't, if you hack him, he can't use his roll, can't use grappling hook, can't use... I wonder if it takes him out of roll. Probably takes him out of roll, right? Because it, like, cancels charge and things like that as well. Can't use pile drive, can't use his shield, can't use his ultimate, like... And that's a pretty scary ultimate, actually. Like, this is an ultimate that fits in a few different categories, because it's, like, utility zoning and threatening at the same time, right? Like, you can use this to kill people. That you jump in on them, fucking pile drive in the middle of them, lay a bunch of mines underneath them, they're like all dead. Like if you get a fucking 100 damage on a squishy target, put the mines down around them, how do they get out? How do they get out of that one? It's going to be pretty difficult to do so. Now, the caveat here is that, you know, he sounds really strong, and I think he certainly can be very strong, but he's also undoubtedly the hardest tank to play in the game, right? Because he's got a mechanical requirement, because you need to be able to aim somewhat, right? Like, it's a fucking minigun with 80 ammo and it's hit scan, so, like, it's not exactly the most precision weapon in the world, but there is an aim requirement, right? He's got... And then you've got to know how to land grappling hook. You've got to be able to get pile drive off. You've got to know when to use the minefield. You've got to know when to use your shield. You've got to know when to use your roll. Also, this kind of alleviates the headbox issue because he's in a ball. You can't really shoot his head so easily anymore, can you? And then he's got, like, the meta requirement as well of needing to know when to use all of this shit, as well as how to use all of this shit. Because, like... You want to talk about an ult battery, like, if you got a really bad Hammond player on your team, he's gonna feed the enemy team so much ult charge, oh my god, like, he is gonna be the greatest ult battery of all time if you don't know how to play this guy properly. A fucking Hammond engages at the wrong time and you end up chewing through fucking 1100 hit points on somebody, oh my goodness, right? Like, I can see it now. I can see the Hammond going in 1v6, being like, I can take him. And then he doesn't take him. But boy, did he just give, like, 3 people an ultimate right there. So, like, a really good Hammond is gonna be pretty fucking terrifying. Like, you're gonna feel, like, it's gonna feel like when you've got a really good Tracer on the other team, right? Like, you're gonna feel like nowhere is safe. And that you're just constantly being murdered. But a really bad Hammond is going to be extraordinarily detrimental to his own team, which is usually how tanks are, to be fair. Like, a really bad tank is, like, the most detrimental thing your team can have, right? Like, Reinhardt has unparalleled throwing ability. No one throws a game harder than Reinhardt does, right? Roadhog can throw a game pretty hard as well, mostly because the person picked Roadhog more than anything else, but, like... Oh, Hammond is going to be able to throw some games pretty hard right here. So he seems like more of an off tank than a main tank. I think you probably could. He would benefit a lot from being played with a Zarya, because that just makes him even more obnoxious, right? Because note that roll, like, it doesn't have crowd control immunity on it. Neither does grappling hook, but you are in the air at the same time, right? So... bubbling Hammond when he's grappling in or rolling in is, like, it just makes it a lot easier for Hammond to do his job. I see, like, a couple of avenues you could play Hammond in. The most obvious one to me is a dive comp of some variation. Either, like, the Hammond's the main tank and you've got the Zarya off tank, or you pick, like, a Winston or a D.Va alongside the Hammond and you just dive on people, right? You would definitely go Lucio, because, like, Jesus Christ, let's get in there, boys, right? Like, we're not going to have trouble killing them once we get in there. We just got to get to them, though, is the issue. So, like, the dive comp is the obvious one. I could see him playing really well with an Orisa or Reinhardt as well, because, like, if he's sitting behind one of their barriers, he's like a very threatening presence, right? Like Hammond is really up there on the presence scale as far as tanks goes. So him just, like, sitting behind one of their barriers is, like, the off tank and, like, fucking up people with all of, like, all of this business he's got going on. Counter, like, you can just, like, farm up ult and, like, counter engage with minefield and pile drive, and then, like, he can step forward and start tanking with this shield when they try and pick a fight. Like, he'd work well like that. Or I could also see it, like, in a similar team comp with, like, the Reinhardt, and then Hammond is just, like, going in the same way that a D.Va or a Winston would, while the rest of the team is walking in with, the Reinhardt. Like, I could see something like, Reinhardt, Hammond, Hanzo, Genji, Zenyatta, Mercy working out, where the Hammond and the Genji go in and fuck people up and like occupy a lot of the enemy team's attention, and then the rest of the team are just like walking in through the objective while that like this massive threatening presence is on them. He seems like a very versatile tank. I can imagine him being pickable in essentially any team composition. Yeah, like I can't really think of a team comp that it seems like Hammond would be bad in. There are certain like comps that he'd be bad against. Like the thing that might stop, like this is the issue that Hammond's gonna have right now, is that Bridget's in the game and Hammond himself has no crowd control immunity. So Bridget is gonna like really fuck up Hammond, because like if this boy can't get in, he's like drastically less effective, right? Because all of his abilities are kind of based around him being in and getting in. So Bridget's gonna fuck him up. Hanzo, let's not forget Hammond's got a really big head hitbox, and Storm Arrow can do... But it could do 900 damage with all headshots, but the damage got lowered a little bit. I don't know what the upper limit is off the top of my head right now, but like Hanzo could fuck up a Hammond pretty big once he comes out of ball form, right? Because his head is so easy to hit. Hammond's got not much you can do about that. Worth noting that this doesn't say it reduces his move speed, does it? It might do that, and it just doesn't say so here. But, you know, whatever. We'll assume it doesn't for now. Either way, Hammond's head is really big, so someone like Hanzo is going to get through him pretty quickly. Similarly, Reaper, a very hardy individual in general, counters tanks, has Wraith form to dodge the abilities, because, like, it's pretty... You can see it coming, right? Like, you see Hammond coming. Reaper definitely has time to react to Hammond coming, and Wraith form to dodge it. And then Hammond's got a really fucking big head hitbox. Reaper's really good at killing tanks, so that could be scary for Hammond as well. So there's also the fact that right now it's pretty common to see Hanzo and Widowmaker on the same team. Hammond is going to have a lot of trouble getting into a team like that, because like Widow is pretty far away. Hanzo, like if we can get to the Hanzo, that's cool, and we can fuck him up. But the problem is going to be like getting there through everything else that might be going on. So I think that Hammond's still going to be good, and I still think that you're going to be able to pick him in most, essentially, every team composition. But I don't think he's going to have a drastic effect on the metagame, other than that you're going to see him a lot. Obviously, he's a new hero. He's super fun, right? Like, I think he's fantastic design. Like, I love the dude's design. I think he's fantastic. Both in terms of, like, character concept and mechanics. I think he's a fantastic hero. I like the direction that the hero releases have been going in, because I think Moira, Bridget, and Hammond are, like, three of the most well-designed heroes in the entire game. I think they're all super interactive heroes, and they have, like, a lot going on with them. Hammond has got a lot of crazy shit going on. And, you know, he's a fat hamster rolling around in a ball with fucking miniguns on it, right? Like, he's a fun character. I think his design is fantastic, and I think he's certainly going to be good, but I don't think he's going to have a drastic effect on the metagame. Mostly just because I think that Hanzo is so all-present right now that I don't think Hammond's going to have a drastic effect on that. With Symmetra changing, it might also, because we've got like a lot of moving parts coming in at the same time right now, because like Symmetra's about to come on with her rework. Sombra's about to get like a pretty drastic buff that no one really seems to appreciate right now. And Hammond's going to be in the game, hopefully sometime soon. Hopefully his release doesn't take as long as Bridget's did, because that was fucking ridiculous, how long that one took. So hopefully he's in the fucking game sometime this season. That'd be great, wouldn't it? I think he's super cool. I think he's awesome. I think he fits in... I think you play him as a main tank and an off tank. I think he fits in almost any composition. I think he's a very versatile hero. because his abilities have offensive and defensive components to them. And he has a really good left click. Like, I think it's up there as being one of the better weapons in the game. Granted, I mean, you know, on paper, things can sound ridiculous and then end up not being so when actually put into practice, but the quad cannons seem really scary. Like, they seem pretty scary, especially if, like, I'm playing Reinhardt. This fucker's just doing 400 damage to my shield every 3 seconds. You know, that's not okay. I'm not happy with that one. There's already enough heroes in the game that, like, chew through my shield, right? So, like, I'm not super stoked about that one. But this is, like, not a new development for Reinhardt at the same time. Like, it's been difficult for, like, shield management has become harder and harder for Reinhardt as time has gone by. Reinhardt has still always managed to find a way to still be good, despite what some people might say, because Earth Shatter is just really strong, basically. And in the chaotic element of the competitive ladder, having, like, a really big shield that you can move around freely ends up being really good. So, like, this isn't a new development for Reinhardt. He makes Roadhog really sad, also. Worth pointing out. Roadhog could theoretically make him sad by hooking him, but, like, let's be real. What's Roadhog gonna do once he hooks Hammond? He's gonna get killed by Hammond, so... It's not a new development, though. Roadhog's been sad for a really long time, so this is not a new development for him either, mostly because... I mean, like, Blizzard made Roadhog sad to begin with, and now, like... It's not gonna get any better anytime soon for poor Roadhog. I think Roadhog, at this point, has to be on the table for, like, either some pretty big buffs or a rework, because, like, it's not gonna get any better. It's not gonna get any better once Hammond comes in, because, like, yeah, okay, he's got hard crowd control, he'll pull Hammond in, but, like, you might just be doing Hammond a favor, honestly, because, he'll suddenly be in there, like, he'll be in there really soon. He'll be in the enemy team, and that's where he wants to be. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine the fucking Roadhog that's hanging out by, like, the Orisa and, like, the mostly static team composition, and then he fucking pulls Hammond in, and Hammond's like, great, I have a 700 health shield right now, and I'm gonna put some mines down. And now I'm gonna roll away. You've been japed, my friends. Yet more ways for Roadhog to be able to kill his own team. Isn't that exciting? Whole Hog could push him away at least. Roadhog's got that going for him, which is nice. So, yeah, that's the moral of the story. I think Hammond's going to be good. I think he's a fantastic hero, super fun design. I think he's going to be great. I think people are going to like playing him. I think he's going to be a hero you're going to have trouble picking if you want to play him, because I can see people picking him for real, unless he turns out to be, like, really weak, but, like, that seems unlikely looking at him. He might come off as being really weak once he first releases, but I think that'll even out, because he strikes me as being an extremely high skill cap hero. So, especially for the tanks, right? Tanks are not really hard to play. Like, the hardest one to play is, like, Orisa, right? Like, it's not... Tanks aren't hard to play. Even the hardest tanks to play are, like, still pretty easy to play overall. They have, like, a harder, like, meta requirement than mechanical requirement, but they're all, like, pretty easy to play. Hammond is hard to play as a tank goes, so I think you're going to see a lot of bad Hammonds, and a bad Hammond is going to be, like, very detrimental to your team. But I think a good Hammond is going to be, like, a very positive influence for your team. So I think he's super cool. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's very versatile. I think he's going to be scary, but I also think that if you're bad, you're going to be really bad. So, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Hammond, though I do think the consensus opinion is, fuck yeah. It's like, I've seen some naysayers who are basically no fun allowed people that are like, a fucking hamster in a rolling mech? Where's the realism in this game where we can pick a monkey scientist who came from the moon? Where's my realism? My immersion's been shattered. Anyway, I think the consensus opinion from sensible human beings is that he's super awesome and everybody wants to be the hamster in the rolling mech, okay? Like, everybody wants to swing in as Hammond going, I came in like a wrecking ball. Everybody's going to be doing it, and it's going to be super annoying, and you're going to see a fucking lot of montages that have that exact thing happening in it. But he's cool. I think everybody likes him. Let me know what you think. Do you think he's cool? What do you think? Do you think he's going to be good? Do you think he's going to be bad? Seems unlikely, but do you think he's going to be bad? And, you know, the other stuff as well, I guess. You know, this is quick play. Who gives a shit about that? You know, Sombra. Oh, God. What do you think about that? Do you think that's enough? Do you think this actually matters? Because I don't think it does, really, you know. I think, you know, it seems like it might. Like, it might matter to May. But, like, I don't think this matters in practical terms. Let me know what you think about the patch. I'm interested to hear. So thank you very much for watching today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. Let me know what you think. I'm interested to hear. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.